So, thank you, Sophia, for the introduction and good morning, everyone. So, today I'll be talking about the thesis work and the kind of this globular testers, treating ultraviolet AstroSat UVIT. Currently at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics and continuing several researcher. Worked on a Ph.D. with Professor Annapurni Subramaniam. So let me go through what globular clusters are and what they are testing to be looked at through ultraviolet wavelengths. So let me start with what are the hot stellar populations in globular clusters. So this is the typical color magnitude diagram in the optical of a globular cluster, where you can see stars along the main sequences, along the main sequence, where stars are hydrogen in their core, and then there is a main sequence turn up where stars exhaust the hydrogen burning and then go on to subject and so on. And we move to the diagram, and then finally they will end up on the horizontal branch, which is more of a horizontal color because of the degeneracy in the body due to their evolution. And they go up to
probably want to use the mouse because they're more like
so they are very hot and so the horizontal branch is no more horizontal and it actually grows. In the horizontal branch, the star one helium is there. And further, the evolution goes to the aging, depending on the mass on the horizontal branch. And on the aging, there is a double set of evolutions. And beyond the aging, stars evolve, the stars shed their colors and evolve as opposed to AGB stars, two microbes, which are now shown in this CMD. So, among these stellar populations, which are the ones which are not enough to be visible in the UV?
It's not hard.
The instruction. I hope you can hear me now. And yeah, so I was here talking about stellar populations in the globular clusters. And we were at the optical color and stars which are bright enough to be emitting significant emissions in the UV are basically the horizontal branch stars, which are the helium core burning stars. And then we have the post horizontal branch stars, or the stars that evolved the helium core burning phase. And then there are white dwarfs, which are not shown here, which are the end status of low mass stars. And we also have some exotic objects which are seen in binaries, such as electrosphere variables and X-ray binaries, which could have emission in the UV. And some stars, which are known as blue tracker stars, which follow non-canonical stellar evolutionary paths. These are basically stars which are brighter and lower than the main sequence turn-off, just above the main sequence turn-off, and they are not supposed to be there in golden globular clusters. We do see them. So they have non-canonical evolutionary pathways, and we do not exactly know how they evolve. So there are different groups of HV stars. So this is the typical structure of a horizontal branch star. Yes. Yes, sorry. Structure of a horizontal branch star where there is a helium burning core and surrounding it is a hydrogen burning shell. So depending on the mass in the envelope, the horizontal branch stars can be divided into various categories and they have different implications depending on the envelope. So this here is under in the GGC 280 and only showing the horizontal branch stars. So in the red are stars known as red horizontal branch stars, and as we move to the towards the left, the stars the angular masses are decreasing from 0.85 above 0.4 solar masses, and their surface temperatures are increasing from 5,200 Kelvin to more than 6,000 Kelvin. So, the horizontal branch is a discovery factor, not only for the evolution beyond the horizontal branch, but also for the post horizontal branch evolution. So, let's go to what the most HV stars, or they are also known as UV bright stars. So, these stars are the brightest in the images, UV images of globular clusters. So, after the horizontal period for exhaustion, the stars move around the AGB plate and undergo steady mass of violet stellar waves, and they also undergo thermal pulsation phase and then shift and move exposed AGB stars. But not horizontal branch stars do this. Only the horizontal branch stars with the highest angular masses, or the HGB stars, or HB stars, go through the AGB phase and along the post AGB. Their time scales are of the order of 10,000 years or less. They are really very fast evolving. And their luminosity range in the last scale is more than 3.1. So the stars which are having intermediate and the massive horizontal they slightly under lower luminosity as post early HV stars with slightly longer evolutionary time scales. They do not undergo thermal pulsation phase on the AGB phase, and then they evolve to the stars which are in the hottest and which are known as extreme horizontal ground stars, they have temperatures of more than 80,000 Kelvin. These do not have enough angular masses to even the AGB. Suddenly brighten with higher luminosity. These are known as AGB max stars or pale AGB stars, and then they evolve to the white dwarf cooling phase. So these white dwarfs forming from AGB max stars are different from hydrogen around it. So these are these we want to be slowly cooling minds. Their cooling density is much lower than slower than the normal vapors. So it is really important to understand how most HV stars evolve and the incidence of evolution. So the study in China who used data of 44 globular clusters. They made a company list of post HV stars in about 22 globular clusters using Galactic UV observations. So to observationally identify these stars, we need UV color magnitude numbers, where the color is 40 minus NUV and UV magnitude is not on the basis. So these are the stars which are brighter and 1 millimeter below. Then 0 is horizontal ratio. And we have more than 7,000. This is the observational criteria used to identify the post HV stars or UV bright stars. So it is increasingly becoming important to identify and characterize these stars, not only to understand their evolution, but also to predict how dwarfs will form and evolve from these stars. So what is the importance of studying these hot stars in globular clusters? So many of them, as I said, exist in uncertain phases of in the evolution of low mass single stars, mainly because their single pore size is poorly constrained and the mass along the RGB is also poorly constrained. These factors determine how the angular mass is coming from the horizontal branch and the evolution beyond the horizontal branch. So, as I said, these are relatively fast evolving stars. So, the number statistics of these stars is poor because they are observationally difficult to identify from optical images. We need to go to higher wavelengths, shorter wavelengths. Also, the stars, the extreme horizontal stars, which are having temperatures of more than 20,000 Kelvin, and the progeny, these are candidates to explain what is known as UV output seen in the spectra of elliptical galaxies. Here I am showing the opposite spectra of an elliptical galaxy 4552. And it is not expected to see UV output in the spectra of these type of sources, but we do see that. So we expect that the stars, the old stars such as PhD and post-HV seen in these galaxies could be the reason for the outcome in the spectra in the UV region. So it's important to understand and these stars in global galactic global clusters to understand the universe contribution of hot stars to old stellar systems. So now I have motivated you to study what is important to study hot stars in globular clusters. So there are few more reasons. So one is to investigate the multiple populations in globular clusters. So globular clusters now we know that they are not found of single stellar population, but they have populations with differences in chemical abundances as well as could be populations with different ages. So here is an observed color magnitude diagram of a globular cluster in GC2808 in orbit. You can see that there's a huge spread in the main sequence, as well as there is a wide horizontal rush. So when people simulated this horizontal rush, it was required to produce these frequencies between multiple populations with variations in helium outputs. Otherwise, this spread cannot be reproduced. And this spread is not because of photometric inaccuracy, because now we know that with HST observations, we have the enough photometric precision to separate out these stellar populations, subpopulations, and this is statistically significant as well. So it's important to study hot stellar populations to investigate the multiple populations along the horizontal rush shown here. So, to understand the evolution of exotic populations like blue striker stars and seaweeds, we can use the hot stars, and this also helps us to understand how stellar dynamics plays a role in stellar evolution. So the key way to study these sources is ultraviolet. Although it can be observed in the orbit, they will be faint, and so the difference between the sources are shown here in the orbit and UV orbital sequence. So the ultraviolet is becoming like structure here because the hottest star becomes bright in UV and the coolest star becomes fainter. And we study sequence and the sequence gets stretched out to larger range in magnitudes. So in the UV, advantage is reduced stellar crowding as compared to the optical images. So the contribution from main sequence and RGB stars gets suppressed in the UV images. And we can pick up the UV sources pretty easily. Also, the hot stellar populations are, of course, brighter in UV. Another reason to study the sources in ultraviolet is UV optical colors are more sensitive to helium abundance variations. So here is a synthetic spectrum of three blue horizontal stars with different initial helium abundances. You can see from the below panel, the differences among the spectra become evident as starting from the layers. So the difference in these colors will give us extra information about the helium abundance variations, so we can separate out stars with different helium abundances. So the main goals of my work were to introduce census and characterization of UV bright populations in galactic globular clusters in order to shed light on low mass star evolution, the late stages especially, and trace multiple stellar populations along the late stages and their origins. And to identify non-canonical stellar evolutionary particles and to understand the effect of dynamical interactions of stellar evolution. So in this talk, I'll focus on the first two aspects here. And I mainly talk about results from the study of two globular clusters, which are both massive. So the telescope that we have used include UV data from the multiwavelength imaging telescope onboard India's first multiwavelength study observatory AstroSat. So this is an image of the UVIT telescope, which is a field of view of 28 minutes earlier diameter. Special resolution of less than 1.5 seconds in both in UV and UV. So this telescope also has multiple filters in the UV and in UV lamps. Since 2019, the UV has stopped working, but we still have archival data in the UV. So currently, the operating far beyond this nominal time, which is of 5 years. So we still have data and proposals are being and for identifying the optical convergence in these UV sources, I have used these data from HST for the central region of the globular cluster and beyond the core region of the cluster, and also bounded optical data from the block of steps and data. So this UV survey that we have conducted using UVIT, the UVIT legacy survey of globes, where we have proposed for 26 globular clusters to be observed in UV filters with UVIT. And the team is led by Annapurni Subramaniam. So this is the distribution of the sources along in the galactic latitude and longitude. And the intensity range is from -2.3 to -0.6. So in the first paper in this series, we have presented the UV optical color magnitude diagram for 8 globular clusters. And we have observed about 3,000 sources from all these clusters, including all of these numbers, including host HV stars, white dwarfs, and blue straggler stars. So the previous study was conducted by Shiva using Galactic, which has a smaller spatial resolution of about 3 to 5 seconds. And here we can see the combined colorimetric diagram of 44 globular clusters. So the improvement using UVIT is shown in the we have shown the globular cluster CMD of 8 clusters, and we can clearly see that the block is converted into two different sequences, which is the blue straggler sequence here and the white dwarf sequence. So we have also detected quite a number of HV stars in the record. So there is a clear improvement with UVIT compared to Galactic. So now I will jump to my year, which was the first UV observation of Omega Centauri during the last field of view. So Omega Centauri, as we know, is the most active galactic globular cluster. It is even debated to be the nucleus of a dwarf galaxy. So it's an old stellar system debated to be the nucleus of a dwarf galaxy, but currently I'm calling it a galactic globular cluster. It has a significant number of non-canonical stellar evolutionary sources formed through non-canonical stellar evolutionary pathways. In this figure, you can see the multiple stellar populations with helium abundance of 2.4 identified in this cluster using HST observations from high-low. We can clearly see that the sequences along the main sequence and the subgiant branch split, and there is a wide horizontal branch, which again does not appear horizontally in the CMD. We also find the presence of rare objects in the cluster, like helium-4 white dwarfs, which cannot be formed through single-stellar evolution within the lifetime of the universe. So, helium-4 white dwarfs are rare objects formed through binary evolution mostly. Yeah. And the basic parameters of this cluster are shown. So, the point to be noted here is that this cluster shows multiple populations with variations in basically minus 2.2 to -1. So it's interesting in that sense. So the data we have used is the FUV image of the cluster, where the full radius is 2.3 minute, and the HST field of view is shown in the image. And we have field of view of 28 minute diameter, so it is covering much more FUV sources than what is observed by HST. So we have data into FUV filters, which means that images were created using our CCD lab. For identifying optical counterparts, we have used HST data in 5 filters, and for the sources outside HST, we have used the data and statistical schedule. So, we are using membership information from HST and lost. So, from this, we can see that our improved source detections in using UVIT. So, the clusters CMD, FUV optical CMD using UVIT data, they found 800 sources on the left. And UVIT has spatial resolution of 3 arcseconds. So there were 800 sources detected, but with UVIT, we have detected more than 3,000 sources. And on the top, you can see the sources detected in the HST region. And on the bottom, you can see the sources detected in beyond HST region. And using the detected sources up to 22 magnitudes, automatic levels of less than 0.25 magnitude. So here again, I am showing the colorimetric levels. On the top, the sources detected within the HST, and on the bottom, the detected sources outside the HST. So various sequences are seen, and we compare these with stellar evolutionary tracks. So here is the horizontal branch. Sorry. So, okay, guys. So So this here is a horizontal branch. And this is the white dwarf sequence, and here is the postdoctoral sequence, and this is the optical CNDs. On the top two panels, you can see the sources within the HST field of view, and on the bottom are the sources outside the HST field of view. There is a lot of scatter in the bottom because there could be even non-members here. So we can clearly see that there is a white dwarf and horizontal branch. So here, particular thing to be noted is that in optical, we can see that the models match well with the horizontal branch as well as the white dwarf sequence. But in the cubic optical, we can see that there is a mismatch in the positions of the white dwarfs and as well as the horizontal branch. So horizontal branch also is painted than what is predicted from models. That is also seen in this sources outside the HST region as well. So the main finding here is that the hot horizontal branch environment do not match with models in the optical region. So is it because of different helium or different age? We don't know that. So we try to simulate the HB subpopulation using different parameters such as metallicity, helium abundance, and age. So we are able to successfully introduce the horizontal branch in the optical aspect of the operator, and the parameters are as follows. So we require to find some groups of populations with these parameters by ranging from like helium abundance ranging from 0.23 to 0.43. Age ranging from 11 gigahertz to 13 gigahertz, and metallicity ranging from -0.48 to -1.88. So we have found multiple populations along HB, which was reported earlier as well. And we have created in the UV optical gain for the first time, FUV optical gain for the first time. So these were as per the descriptions found in Juvenile. Simulations were performed as per the initial parameters from Juvenile. So we can see that the hottest HB stars are enriched in helium and have helium abundance greater than 0.3. The extreme helium enhanced populations are also found to be younger, with ages ranging from 11 to 12 gigayear. We try to look at how these subpopulations are readily distributed within the cluster. And we divided the hottest HB stars and the cooler HB stars into two different subpopulations and looked at their radial distribution. We found that there is a radiation of second generation helium enhanced stars, or the hottest subpopulations are readily more segregated compared to the cooler subpopulations. And this indicates an in situ enrichment of second generation helium enhanced stars from first generation AGB stars. So now we ask the question whether the hot stars in Omega Centauri are unique. And to do that, we compare the properties of these hot stars like HB and white dwarf stars with those of the population in M13. M13 has roughly similar parameters, although it does not have the range of metallicity that we see. It is in between the metallicity ranges found in Omega Centauri, and the mass is also slightly lower, but we used it as a comparison cluster to study whether there is any uniqueness in the properties of hot stars in Omega Centauri. So M13 also hosts significant population of hot HB stars and white dwarfs, which is also the reason why we chose this cluster, and the UVIT data is available for this cluster. So along the absolute CMD, and since both these clusters are at different readiness and different distance model, we brought them together on the absolute gain by correcting for the distance models and readiness. Here also we find that there is a difference. Both these CMDs should line up together. But we find that the Omega Centauri sources in blue and red are fainter than those seen in M13. So it could be possible because of the larger of initial helium abundance found in Omega Centauri, whereas in M13 there is a smaller or smaller spread in initial helium abundance. They are not enhanced in helium. So this could be one of the reasons. So here we are finding that we are verifying that there is not only a discrepancy between the models and the FUV observation, but observation also comparing the observations of the two clusters, we can see that indeed there is some uniqueness in the properties of omega sen in SUV. So we compare the properties of these sources in HR diagram, and we derive these properties such as effective temperature and luminosity as well as radius. So in the left view are the sources of omega sen, and in black and yellow are the sources of M30. So here there are different models of zero electron. There are sources in omega sen in red and blue, which are much fainter than those observed with less luminosity than those observed in M30. So now we compare these two sources in these two clusters in the log plane versus radius plane. Here we see that the underluminous stars in omega sen have smaller radii, and they could be less massive compared to their M30 counterparts. But we are not sure, it needs to be probed further. So we compare the properties of white dwarfs in both these clusters. Here we can find that from the color diagram, we can find that the omega sen white dwarfs in red and blue are redder than those found in M30. So we compare the properties of both these sources in the HR along with the tracks. These are helium-4 white dwarf tracks evolving from helium-enhanced progenitors. So helium-enhanced stars evolve differently from normal stars with normal helium orbitals. Helium-enhanced stars evolve faster, and they can do helium-4 white dwarfs within the time scale of the universe. So what we are finding is that these white dwarfs in both clusters are following along the evolutionary ramp of helium-4 white dwarfs. And we think that the white dwarfs in omega sen would be helium-4 white dwarfs. These white dwarfs which we observe in SUV. However, we do not find any differences in the properties of white dwarfs in both the clusters, and we do not yet know why the omega sen white dwarfs are compared to white dwarfs in M30. So the key takeaway points from this study are, so the UVIT is the legacy program to study UV bright stars in galactic globular clusters, and we have the first comprehensive FUV photometric study of omega sen. We are finding multiple populations along the horizontal branch with a range in initial helium abundance, metallicity, and age. We find hot HV stars which are highly enhanced in helium. We also find for the first time that younger, radially segregated helium-enhanced HV stars are found in this cluster, and this points to in situ enrichment of these second-generation stars from older generation. We also find a population of underluminous hot HV stars, and we do not know yet whether it's a peculiarity of omega sen. More studies are to be conducted. And we also report the detection of UV bright helium-4 white dwarf candidates, compact helium-enhanced progenitors. So now I come to the results that I obtained from the study of another cluster, which is another cluster with a significant population of PHV stars. So here is in the bottom panel is the NGC of the CMD of the globular cluster NGC280, which with a wide range in color. So the properties of the post-HV stars in this cluster are unknown. We identified the post-HV stars in this cluster from photometry and from this color line two diagrams. So these are the stars in purple. And on the left, you can see the galaxy of the same cluster where there is no, it just appears like a blob here. So we can see the clear improvement with UVIT. And we have identified about 34 cluster members which are post-HV sources, whereas there was no membership information provided in the previous study. We characterize these sources by fitting their spectral energy distribution, and we are finding sources up to a temperature of 1 Kelvin. And we used various models such as TMAP model and Prof model to fit the spectral energy distributions. And this is a histogram of the temperature and the area of the sources. And parameters range from 12,500 to 1 lakh in effective temperature, and we also find out the agreement between our values and the spectroscopically measured temperatures for 3 stars measured in this cluster. So we know the evolutionary status of post-HB stars. So this is the HR diagram, and the maps are from Muller et al. So we can see that the sources are clearly fitting on the tracks, and most are found to be in AGB massive phase or failed AGB stars. Their progenitors have masses of 0.5 solar masses, and all 3 stars, except the 3 stars have masses less than 0.5. We also find 2 hot post-early AGB stars or post-AGB stars in this cluster. And from this study, the key takeaway points are we are identifying 34 UV bright stars, which is a significant improvement to the previous census in this cluster, and we characterize their properties using SAB50 as we have automated multi-wavelength automated data. And we find that most of these are in the AGB man phase. And we also identify 7 post-HB stars, which are ideal spectroscopic follow-up targets, and these are found in the outer less crowded regions of the cluster. So these can be followed up through optical spectroscopy as well as through future UV spectroscopy if possible. So that's it. Thank you for your attention, and sorry for the interruptions in between. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Offline participants. Thanks for this one. The classes that you look at, are they labs or labs?
Yeah, so all the clusters that I have shown today are non-dwarf labs. But we also got the non-dwarf cluster, which I'm just going to submit within a few weeks. That is NBC 397. It is the nearest globular cluster, and we are seeing some interesting sources there.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you probably gets a lot of discussion is if the spread might start way along indicators prior to interactions between the different populations. This biases my predictions, but we do expect some of them to evolve eventually to realize that we be able to fix the regulatory possible. In some cases, maybe one of those spread strategies that are rational, so would be good to in future maybe prepare and follow up with the categories.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Evidence of these transactions.
Yeah, there could be sources found through non-canonical evolutionary pathways, and they could be seen as outliers in the same data. So some of them could be those sources, and it's just interesting to look at those sources.
Yes. And I was wondering what the main methods are for determining which stars are members of which.
Yeah, so I'm just using the membership property given in the catalog, but it is based on the promotion observations carried out using HST or over the years, and that is the main criteria.
Okay, 2 general questions. A little bit similar to this that I was asked. So many phase using different data sets, data resolution just to get UV. How do you match that?
Yeah.
Which is the optimal parts?
Yes. So I can show you a slide here. So I'm carrying out photometry only on the UV images, UVIT images, and the data set I'm using from HST and Gaia already, produced, and I'm using the catalog basically and the images. But you do need to cross match. So here you can see in the data is the UVIT data. UVIT data actually covers 2 HST sources. So in the source of HST sources. So there would be source confusion, but in the case of very dense clusters, I have carried out several steps. First, we select only the hot stars, and we are really using only the images of HST. So the variable coverage is one thing. Then source confusion becomes less, and then we are using some algorithms to filter out wrong identifications. So in this lower figure, you can see that the source matching is correct because it is there is only one source lying within the UVIT register. And from the ultraviolet diagram, we double check whether we are first plotting the optical ultraviolet diagram, and for the same sources we are plotting UV optical color filter. And we see whether the sources are where they are expected to be found. If they are not, we know that there will be some wrong cross-match.
So like in the case of the top one where you have all options,
yes,
you then eventually through the algorithm select just one, or you try some sort of decomposition of how much UV light can be contributed from another one.
So in such cases, in cases where there are multiple sources within the thesis, we actually ignore that source. For some clusters where the XUV cannot resolve the central region of the cluster, we do not use the data for that region. So our study sometimes, in the case of some clusters, may not have the completeness that we require.
Thanks. Another one on the science side. So your results, they have equivalence to one of your motivators for the beginning. So that UV hunter molecular galaxies.
Yeah.
What will be the result on the some relevance there?
So currently I cannot comment on the UV outcome because we need to conduct a statistical study of UV sources in multiple globular clusters, which is underway using the globules program. But at the moment, with the study of sources in single globular clusters, we cannot really comment on what could be the whether these sources could result in the UV uptrend that we see. So we actually don't need a statistical study. Currently, I'm not able to comment on it.
Thanks.
But it's a long-term motivation.
Yeah. Anyone from the online people?
Yeah,
I don't see anyone
asking questions from online. I think I just want to ask one last question.